What up, YouTube? I am your host, Mediocre, the tour views and reviews. Back in here with one more video. Guys, you're looking at the thumbnail, you're looking at the title of the video, you already know what time it is. It is time to get active. Video for you guys here today. Shout out to the channel, It's Complicated. Guys, I keep on leaving the young scholars link to his videos and his channel down in the description box down below. Make sure you go over there and follow him. Keep up to date with the amazing content that he brings. I'm a full supporter of everything that he does over there. I want to make sure he continues to do that, all right? Link down in the description box down below. Video that he uploaded today, being a protector. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this content creator, what he does is he goes out in the streets of Vegas and he asks these very interesting questions. So let's review. Without further ado,
why is it okay for women to feel entitled to being protected and provided for, but it is wrong for men to feel entitled to sex and intimacy?
Because we live in a double standard world.
Facts.
Why is male sexuality so stigmatized?
Because we live in a double standard world.
That's because there's a double standard out here. These women, unfortunately, are taking over.
I think the honest truth to this question is just because of the reputation guys have, which I mean isn't fair because a lot of guys aren't, you know, like what their reputation holds up to as guys, and I don't think that's fair to like hold girls up to reputations as well. But yeah, I think the reputation of like guys being, you know, horny or sleeping with any women.
That's fair. I feel like if women are entitled to be provided for, that men should be entitled to have a good sex life with their woman.
Okay, why do you think male sexuality is so stigmatized?
Control.
Because the media shows a lot of what men do outside of like, you know, a healthy relationship and things like that. And we tend to follow the media and stuff.
If women expect men to pay for sex, why don't men expect women to pay for bodyguards?
Give this man's questions a round of applause. What a fantastic question. I got to see the brother's answer.
That's a good question. I think
It's a great question.
if you can combine the two, if I'm paying a woman to have sex, then I'm also guarding her body while I'm doing it to protect us. So I should also be compensated for my activities.
Body.
I say it all the time. You know, there's nothing wrong with the complete understanding that you're exchanging buns for guns. You know what I'm saying? Buns for guns. I think that makes complete and utter sense. But when we think about the requirement of protection, and really when you think about it at the end of the day, this protection thing, it's really in a first world society. Now there's danger, there's crime amidst, right? You understand what I'm saying? And women have to walk around with a degree of protection of their space more often than dudes do. I will admit to that, right? But we also live in a country of Second Amendment rights. So from a distance, women should have capability to protect themselves just the same as men do. But the issue is hand to hand, because then the physicality becomes an absolute issue. But the exchange of protection, right? But then on the other side of the cord, men are shamed for their want or their ask of the viscous innards. It's something that's really interesting when you really think about it. But let's get back in there.
Bodyguard? Why would you need a bodyguard though?
Well, because women want men to protect them. So if women want men to protect them and men want women to provide sex, but women expect, you know, men to pay for what they want, then why don't we expect you to pay for what you want?
Because we don't mean protect them like physically. We just mean like protect them like our hearts.
What do you...
Bullshit. So okay. So we're up in the bed. We hear a bump in the night. Honey, I think there's an intruder downstairs. Okay, we'll go down there. I'm gonna be up here protecting you with my heart.
What do you think about the mixed messages men face that encourage him to be both strong and tough, but also open and vulnerable?
I think most guys are like put, if they are open and vulnerable, to either, I feel like most friends like understand when they actually truly like settle down and love someone, they're like open for it. But when guys start getting close with a girl, they're like, oh, you're a simp and this and that. So a lot of guys will hold back, and like previously a lot of people I know, even myself, have had like ex-boyfriends say like, oh, you're a simp and this and that, but it's like they truly love you. So it's hard for guys, and I actually feel bad for them because they feel like they can't actually love someone without getting called a simp.
Does love have to last in order to be worthwhile?
Yes.
If everyone lived to be 1,000 years old, how likely would people never get sick of their partner?
Not never.
They would get sick of their partner.
So then why should love last if people are more likely to get sick of their partner?
Well, just because you get sick of your partner doesn't mean that the love's not there.
Damn, 1,000 years old is a long time. It depends. Like, if you really, really in love with somebody, you're not gonna get sick of that person. You're gonna want that person around. No matter how long it takes, you're gonna want that person. But you gotta really, really be in love and invested with that person.
Why are men...
I don't know. That's a really hard question because sometimes people love each other, but they just can't be together. You know what I'm saying? Whoops. They just love each other, but they just can't be together. I mean, it just is what it is at the end of the day. For some reason, it just will not work out. Sometimes the love doesn't prevail. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it makes sense from an interaction perspective because y'all are together and y'all, you know, always jiving with each other. You'll do anything for each other. But then sometimes it's just the end of the moment of that particular situation. It's happened in my life before, and I'm sure it's happened in the majority of y'all lives before as well. Just is what it is. Shit just gotta just end, amicably break, amicably split.
Men taught how to treat women, but women aren't taught how to treat men.
Because we have, I don't know.
Good question.
I don't know.
Is that true though?
To a certain extent, it depends on who raised you.
Somebody not raising them right. That's the problem.
How should women treat men?
Supposed to treat men like not only your equal, but as your king. Like, you want to impress your partner no matter what. You can't just, like, after 5 years into the relationship, just get comfortable and then all of a sudden it's, oh, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want because this person here, this and that, they're not going nowhere. Nah, you got to keep impressing your spouse, man or woman.
You know what's so interesting about that question, and if you guys didn't hear it, it was why are women not taught how to treat men, but men are taught how to treat women? And you remember, like, from grade school was the first thing that you heard, boys don't hit girls and stuff like that. And every step beyond that you learn as a young boy, right, like from a dynamic of dealing with the opposite gender is how to treat women. But oftentimes, and I've asked this on the show before as well, is like, you know, I don't think that young girls get the same type of information of how to treat boys, right? So I think that it's such an interesting equation. And if you don't have, you know, the example at home, then you're just going to make it up. And you're probably going to make it up by the modern woman standards or the societal standards. And the standards today just seems to love to point men in a negative picture. The men is trash shit and, you know, all that other stuff that we've gone on the channel before. But I think it's such an interesting question that a culture needs to consider. Okay, because I'm tired of, you know, the boys and the men being treated as expendable, right? It's just completely expendable, right? You sent us off to war. You don't care about our issues, right? You ask the average person on the street, a male, no one knows. So many men are dealing with deep-seated depression, suicidal thoughts. Look at the numbers. Homelessness. It's just so many different issues and things that's going on. So I think that there'll be a lot more empathy for men in the space, which is why I think space like this is so important because it can talk about these particular issues that men go through, right? And that the opposite sex and a lot of things that we experience with them often can lead to these issues. So if we had some more empathy from the opposite sex, I think it would be advantageous for both sexes.
If a man was willing to risk his marriage to be with you, would you be more flattered or offended?
Offended.
Why?
Because if you really want to be with me, then you would leave your significant other to be with me.
I would be flattered.
Manicured response.
Why?
Because obviously he's getting something from me that he's not getting in his marriage.
If women want to be the center of a man's world and not second place to his wife, why would a man want to date a single mom and be second place to her kids?
Uh-oh.
He needs to leave the wife and be with me. I can't be second in his life.
Well, then she has to leave her kids. I'm kidding. Okay. All right.
She completely avoided the question.
Never mind.
Well, love comes in all types of different shapes and sizes. I don't think that it would be a second place. I don't think he would look at it that way.
Well, right, but I'm just saying if a man had a choice to be with a woman who has kids or doesn't, I mean, there's a term called baggage, right?
Right.
And so my point is, I mean, either way, you know, in both relationships, you're competing with somebody else. Mm-hmm. you're not getting that partner's undivided attention.
I don't believe
right?
that men. I don't believe that men feel that they would be competing with children. I don't think that they would be.
Yes, they do.
I think that it would be, baggage. I get that, but I don't look at it that way because I have a child and.
No, I know. I mean, but whether or not it's valid or not, do you recognize the stigma that maybe some men have about dating a single mom? Whether or not you agree with it personally?
Yes, I do.
Do women have a right to be afraid of men when 80% of all violent crime is done by men?
Nah. Reason being, a crime could be done by anybody. Even though, like you said, 80% is done by men, it could still be done by anybody. So you should be equally, not even afraid, aware of that someone can commit this crime if they wanted to.
Well, see, it's 80% can be done by men, but what are the percentage that are protected by men as well? Right? So there's a lot of people that would hear him say that and just say, well, damn, all the men are doing this. Men ain't shit. Men are trash. But then who's also doing the protecting on the other side of the equation as well? You got to get the full scope of these questions, right? In order to really understand and peel back the onion of what actually is happening in society. Okay. But let's see how he concludes this.
How is that different than fearing certain races based on statistical data? In other words, why is it okay for women to be sexist but not racist?
I don't think it's different. I think it's the same.
That's a good question.
You can be objectified by any race. You can be criticized by any race. It's all the same.
No, I don't necessarily feel like women have a right to, but at the same time, they do. It's kind of mixed emotions for me. I feel like a lot of girls, like, while they're walking down a street and whatnot, definitely should feel unsafe because a man is way more, like, muscular or, like, stronger and have, like,
I get it.
obviously, like, a bigger reputation. And like you said, 80% of men are in the crime rate. I don't necessarily want to look at it like 80% in the crime rate. I want to look at, like, sexual harassment to women or this and that because I feel like I can't walk down like a street. Like right now I'm walking on Las Vegas Boulevard and I am a little bit suspicious with my 3 girlfriends. And that sucks, being like a vulnerable girl, like just walking down in a dress. I feel like I'm being like, kind of like seen like, oh, she wants this, she wants that. So I definitely feel like, there are things and like being a girl, I feel like that. And it does suck, but.
Why do so many women
I'm going to tell you guys just a real quick short story. What's hilarious about this is that, and I alluded to it earlier in the stream, and I know what it is that she's talking about, but let me tell you this from my perspective as well. I remember vividly, this had to be like 5 to 6 years ago or something like that. I was walking down the street and there was forgive me, it was I don't really know how to refer like the terms and stuff like that, but it was a guy dressed as a woman. I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. This guy had to have been 6'7", 280. Like big dude. Big bastard. You know what I'm saying? And he was walking by me and catcalling me at the same time. And I was just like, and for the first time in my life, I was like, oh, I get it. Because the size difference is so large. I wouldn't, right? Let's say I had to defend myself in this particular situation. I'd have my work cut out for me. You understand? All my martial arts background and everything like that. The size difference is large and massive. You understand what I'm saying? So I say that to say, being a young lady and walking down the street and getting catcalled and, people saying abrasive things to you now is different if they come up to you and they say things politely, but like I never got the catcalling. I never understood it. Never understood it because it doesn't work. And if it does work, right, like the degree and the level of the hood booger that a cat call would work, like a true official cat call, like you don't want those in your life anyway. And I would question the person that's actually doing that because they're probably a hood booger in it of themselves. You understand what I'm saying? But I say that to say, for the first time, that's when I was just like, oh, I get what women can go through.
About being sexually objectified when the entire Vegas economy is built on sex.
Hypocrites.
Okay. Is it realistic to think that nobody should ever feel unsafe?
Yeah, I feel like it is because like I said, like I'm not trying to be sexist. Women have, obviously sexually harassed guys too. So everyone should feel open to it, even if you're a guy and you're the most muscular guy in the world or you're like the most like, you know, like protected guy in the world, like celebrities, you should still feel like you should like watch your back, definitely, because you never know what's going to happen. And it's scary enough to say, but that's the world we're in today.
Are men the biggest threat to women, or are men the biggest protectors of women?
I mean, both. Like, the women can walk down the street and be catcalled, and that's not okay, and that's very threatening. But also, like, you could have your husband who protects you and does things for you. So men could play either role. It depends how they act.
That's what I was saying
Aren't
earlier.
most cops and soldiers men?
I think so.
Aren't most cops and soldiers men?
Absolutely.
So then wouldn't men be the biggest protectors of women?
Very true.
Would you trust a female cop to stop a sexual assault?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then why are men expected to be protectors if women are just as capable of having that protector
So
role?
I keep saying this, and I think it's society, and I also think that men are taught more how to do that, and women aren't necessarily.
Has catcalling or sending unsolicited dick pics
Also
ever
our
worked to
biology.
attract a woman?
I never did that. I don't do that.
Well, why would men continue that behavior when it has such a low success rate?
It's thirsty. That's what they call it, thirsty.
Right, but I mean,
But
it
why
doesn't
do they do
work,
it?
so I don't know why. Why do you think men continue to do that?
I'm gonna give you guys an
person
answer.
that's not working for it, they not getting any anyway. So they gotta resort to whatever measures that they resort to.
Do you think that men...
So here's the reason. I think, like, in this entitlement culture, and it affects both men and women, but for my G's out there, okay, you have to take a look at the things you are doing and the outcomes that you are achieving, okay? If you are catcalling women and no women ever come and walk across the street and say, oh, what's up? I heard you whistle at me. What's up? Or if you sending eggplant pictures and you get seen and blocked time and time, or you're in their comments with the peach asses and the squirt emojis, and you never get responses. You get, and this is the participation trophy culture, in my opinion. Okay? People getting awarded for just showing up and performing poorly. All right? You have to take a look at your actions. Your actions, what were the responses to those actions? And then you recalibrate your steps into the future. If it's not working, stop doing it. Flat out. Stop doing it. It's ridiculous.
Men are the biggest threat to women, or are men the biggest protectors of women?
Ooh, that's hard. I feel like men are... I mean, honestly, like, if you look at it, like, I would say the most threat, because if you are with a guy, anything can still happen. And if you're walking down with your boyfriend, there's so many other guys around you that could hurt you if you weren't with your boyfriend. So, yeah, that one guy can protect you, but can he protect you from 1,000 people with you, like, or like
Yeah, that's
around
not
you?
realistic.
Probably not.
Well, if a woman is attacked in public and a man is attacked in public, who do you think is more likely to be rescued?
A woman.
Ooh,
Why are you hesitating?
that's hard too. I think, obviously, in my opinion, I feel like it's kind of obvious. A girl is more likely to just...
Look at all the modifiers, okay? Obviously, in my own opinion, a girl would be obvious. You know, all of these modifiers on top of something that's just such an easy question to answer. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's modifiers because I think that what happens is that women have fought so long to seek equality. And even as you talk to them about how things are unequal for both men and women, if it's a negative thing that shows that we are not equal, they're not quick to to let that go. Because when they do that, they're unable to continue to use victim cards in certain situations, or can continue to feign accountability because we still want equality. It's fascinating when you see it. It's that was it right there. Obviously, modifier 1, modifier 2, modifier 3. In my own opinion, that's what that was right there. That should have been me, and all of y'all should have said yes at the goddamn same time. Absolutely. There's actually studies on YouTube that I might go over into the future that go over that exact question. All right, let's keep going.
Just because she's seen as more of like, you know, like the one to get more hurt than a guy, because he can kind of protect himself more than a girl. So I would say a guy.
I mean, society has always, you know, perceived men as the providers, as the protectors, as the kind of like solid ground to the family.
So why are women so afraid to be out in public when they're far more likely to be rescued?
I think that this is just because of, what has happened in this world today. I mean, we aren't able to protect ourselves, and if girls don't go through like self-defense classes or this and that, they're more likely to be grabbed and taken to other places where they aren't be able to be protected, especially in places that people aren't. But I say that just because if there's more likely of a chance to be a girl like in public to get saved than a guy, and there's more of like a percentage, if you looked it up, of a girl to get taken than a guy, or beat up than a guy. Just
Would you agree that the best means of physical protection in our society would either be owning a gun or calling the police?
The first one.
This is so hard because I don't have a gun, and
Well, let me ask you this, right?
It's hard for me.
Why do you think that men are still expected to be protectors when a woman is just as capable of calling the police or firing a gun as a man?
I'm a single mom, so it's like, I definitely feel like the protector, and I feel like I can do it on my own. So if I did get married to a guy, like, I wouldn't expect that of him. I think that would be something that we would be able to, do together, both provide, protect, all of that.
It's kind of like you have to get a license too. I'm pretty sure in my state that I live in to get a gun, and you have to get like that, all that work. But guys are more likely to, just because of, in my friend groups, guys are always getting guns. Like, they're like, down for that. But we're just kind of like, the more shy ones. So I think that, girls just don't want to have to go through that. And,
Let me, I'm going to pause the video right here, guys, because I want you to go up and finish the video. Also, we're getting over on time right here. I thought that last question was extremely fascinating. From my perspective, I think that it requires a masculine man for a woman to be truly within her feminine. And I think that women that can truly be in their feminine and embrace their femininity are the happiest women on the planet. If they can consistently do that time and time again without fear of things going awry around them, then they get that level of security and protection where they can nest happily, right? So I think that there's a biological degree in there as well as to why women are not seen in that manner as protectors, if they can protect themselves irrespective of owning a gun or calling the cops. And at the same time, like, first of all, if someone runs up on you, it's gonna be very hard to get a pistol off of your hip, right? And even harder to call the cops at that particular junction, right? So your first line of defense is going to be hand-to-hand combat, and just from a size component, way less women are capable of doing that as opposed to dudes. Okay. But I say this all the time. Like, you guys already know, I am an avid fan of working on honing your body, not only from a inability to atrophy under the weight of and the pressure of gravity and let your muscles wither away, but also understanding how to protect yourself. Self-defense classes, Krav Maga, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, okay, boxing, all of these different things in order to learn the basics of protecting yourself. Because I'll tell you right now, there is nothing more scary than having someone threaten you with being knocked unconscious. Because at the point that you are unconscious, people can do all types of stuff to you. You understand what I'm saying? So having the basic ability to be able to protect yourself as a dude is paramount. That's why you got like countries like China that has required training, and there's some other countries in like Eastern Europe and stuff like that. It was just required time in the military for young men. Anyway, guys, that's been my reaction. Shout out to the content creator. It's complicated. Links down in the description box down below. Questions, comments, concerns? Y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tutorials and reviews at gmail.com. Guys, feel free to hit me up. Got a Patreon. Patreon is booming. Link down in the description box down below if you want to join the inner circle of dope, like-minded people that are just trying to do everything they can to solution and increase their value in this world today. Last but not least, I got an Instagram page. Guys, I'm going to start utilizing the Instagram way more. Go up and follow your boy so you know what's going on when I'm doing something. Until next time, YouTube, peace.